treat life like the surfer treats the ocean. I learned this analogy with my buddy Doug. When I was young, I was extremely driven. I believe that with enough energy thrown at something difficult, one could overcome it. Poorly planned, incessant, intense strength, and social manipulation was always the answer. This lifestyle possibly came from being a firstborn child. I was used to blowing through barriers with brute strength and then showing the positive outcome to maintain that position. Many times early on in Doug and I's friendship, he talked about long surfing trips and how I had to join him on one of them. And finally, one season, I found a week or so of free time and we headed off to the California coastline. These waves were mighty powerful. Well, to me they were at least. Doug shot out past the breaking waves right out of sight. Paddle, 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 gone. I, however, was being beaten like a red-headed stepchild by these darn waves. One after another, they showed me that I was not supposed to get much farther here. I would have none of this. My buddy was out there, and I was going to push through. As I'm paddling into this white water, I paddled and paddled, slam! White water to the face, go back 15 feet. Damn, this is nuts, I thought. Slam! The ocean doesn't play when you want it to sometimes. Isn't that the beauty? I caught a few gaps between the shoulders of the waves, thank goodness, and worked my way through as the set gave way for a moment. Not letting up on the paddling, just like usual, obscene amounts of consistent energy got me to where I wanted to go. There's Doug! Hell yeah! I made it past the breakers. I could finally take a break myself. What a relief! He's like, you made it! I said, hell yeah. From there, everything was chill. I could sit out here all day. I had never made it out past the breakers before on a surfboard. Every time that I had surfed in the past, I got a wee ways out and then just jumped on the first thing that I saw. From here, I was able to sort of plan my attack. Sitting there, watching the surfers from the side of the waves so that the shoulder would just go under me, I was studying and trying to grasp what I was to do next. I was out floating, the water just goes up, down, and up, and down. And it was really peaceful, amazing feeling. Now, here's the first analogy that I find extremely important to how life acts. The ocean, when you're within its waves, behaves a lot like how life acts when you're within its journey. If we sit out on the beach and lay in the splashing calm edges, we're going to enjoy the relaxing experience a lot. Our toes in the water as it rolls up its last inches of tide and bumps into us. Along the edges, life or the ocean still has a way of sneaking up and hitting us with a blow from left field, snagging our shoes and trying to wash them away. If you sit on the beach every day and bathe in the shallows, you may get curious about what it's like to go further out, to do more. Novelty has a way with us humans. We don't usually like to stay in the same situation for very long. To play with life's power and see if we can ride one of these bigger waves that we see others enjoying, we have to get out there. They make it look so easy. So you grab a boogie board and start playing in the inside waves. These are amazing. Geez Louise, how did we not know how great these little rides back in are? We leave the real surfing up to the others though for now. We're perfectly happy grabbing a few rollers and then chilling on the beach with our friends. What a great life, right? So I compare this boogie boarding on small waves that are finishing up their run to like an individual's first or second job. We get really good at something sort of rewarding. Some people, they find this as their finishing point. Some of us, though, after a while, we want more. We get closer and closer to those having the wild rides deep out in the ocean, and we're getting a little hungry. We witness and start to camaraderie with those who have landed huge deals and afford crab for dinner in life. Wrangling immense power with style and grace is quite intriguing. Sometimes in life or with waves, the people out there really riding it, they get absolutely pummeled. And from the coast, we stare at these individuals as they pop their head back up. They survived that one. Whatever it was like, must have been wild. With great reward can bring great danger. To fear this danger completely is to never attain the reward either. Let's compare this phase of when you start to tire of your job, your first or second job, I guess, in this example, and begin to look at fulfilling careers and life goals. Maybe it's not a financial goal, though it's still a probably difficult goal to achieve. Perhaps running a 7-minute mile, or completing a gainer on a bicycle, or getting on and working with your dream basketball team. Difficult goals. Still, there's buildable steps to get to these points. Although the sights are now aimed high. We're looking at those huge waves out there. High stakes, high reward, immense challenge. Unknown voids of challenge waits in between. Lurking, huge waves wait for you to take your eye off the game board. Lawsuits, downtime. We decide it's time to take on the big cheese. Back on shore, the gusto has been mustered. Grab a surfboard and jump in. It's game time. Into the white water we go. Paddle, paddle, paddle. Slam! Pummeled to no end. This is much more difficult than we expected. Our real adventure begins. After a decent number of attempts at getting in past the white water, jumping in, trying to ride those larger waves, we begin to learn to read the behaviors of the moment. Life's randomness, after a while, becomes more of a mood. We wait a bit to let the set pass, and then jump in, and with no depleted energy are able to shoot out past the breakers now. Navigating between shoulders, looking for the next lesson. Moving past our old ones. Things that were super hard are now pretty easy to get past. This is the process of building. This is the process of learning. The process of gaining future success. Back to my example of Doug with his surf trip. The connection has been made between myself and the ocean at this point. I realize that there are much simpler ways to navigate something you have no control over its actions. You can only control your own thoughts and actions. It's a full listening act. For once, I was quiet enough to hear the instructions. A real wild perspective to achieve after going through most of my life, guns blazing. Up against so many variables paired with such power, there had to be a peaceful acceptance that I was not able to win with sheer power alone. I had to dive into the world of planning, learning, getting thrashed, picking myself up, recognizing what I did wrong, and finding ways to avoid the same outcome on the next set. I positioned myself where I believed the correct wave would come, adjusting here or there, and with time, the one that I wanted came my way. I didn't know much how to ride it, although I realized another thing about surfing. At least in my opinion, it's not all about riding the wave. Even though that's an extremely satisfactory part, just being out past the breakers on the peaceful expanse of this powerful ocean, floating up and down with her drawn-out crest, I found much joy in sitting out there. Peaceful meditation of sorts. Nothing to distract you. Enough to focus on. No phones or even barely any conversation. Maybe a fish or a turtle here and there. A pelican whizzing by. Such a magnificent beauty being out there. I was in love with surfing at that point, and I barely knew how to do it. And so that really shows that surfing isn't just riding waves. You could fall in love with, being out past the breakers. What comes with that? When you find yourself breaking into new, greater areas of life, there is a whole new realm that comes with it. And I compare that to this being out past the breakers. A new, uncharted, interesting, exciting area of life when you try to go for bigger goals. And once we go out and once we experience it, unless we're unable to learn its ways, it becomes a way of life, a sport of 1,000 hours, right? There's a few other aspects where the ocean waves can tell a story similar to how life tells it. Waves are like life's opportunities. Something small happens, and down the road, that ripple becomes a full-blown opportunity. When it starts to curl and form a beautiful moment, that is when it's noticeable to the untrained eye. Someone will be riding that moment right in front of us. They have been waiting for it, aligning for it, training for it. They were in the right spot, not by accident. You will see them playing down its face, and we will throw on our wetsuit full of excitement and greed. Chase that wave! By the time we're in the same playing field, it'll be a new wave. A wave that sucks ass. A different opportunity, not one to be seized. We can't always chase what we see others riding. A little planning, experience, and discipline is needed to get onto these beauties. If you practice, fail, try again, wait patiently. Before the curl shows herself, we need to be in the correct position. And along this massive, long, sloping shoulder, you see something amazing en route. And this opportunity that you're viewing has been waiting for ages to be set up. It's a ripple that grew and grew from long ago across the world, and finally this one is for you. Hell yeah! Let's see how this is done. These moments are not to be wasted. Another great comparison from ocean waves to life is sometimes it's perfectly calm, flat water. How does the entire ocean get so still sometimes? It's wild. Although it's not too uncommon to experience when you're sitting out on the waves. I relate the lack of waves in the ocean to how life sometimes gets quite boring. How we hate boring, right? The peaceful lack of novelty. We get stir crazy and eat too much. Humans are funny in the ways that we react to boredom. It eats at us. We could react to there being no waves by becoming frustrated, impatient, and start complaining, which won't change the fact that there's still nothing stirring at the moment on Earth's clock. It doesn't give a shit about your opinion on its modulations. So you're out on this still water, right? Or you're out in a boring phase of life, and you could get frustrated. Or instead you could choose to love it. In this state, you are in no rush. This is a phase just like all the others. Here you just have to take it all in and admire the simplicity and peace that it is. You know that the world is chaos, and in that, fun little waves of opportunity will appear if you wait long enough in the right position. These moments, in my opinion, are super awesome if you have time on your side, because it thins the crowd. Tough times make it so that the weak-minded, tired, or unprepared are unable to continue, clearing the path for you for real success and enjoyment. Finally, sitting out there after an hour or two of patience, the ocean stacks up a few glorious, perfect sets for you. Little gifts on a schedule for her visit with you. Ah, we love those, right? As you ride in on one, notice the people drooling on the shore at the opportunity that they missed maybe only 15 minutes or so ago. Lucky you, they might say. This isn't luck. Well, it's a combination of things, including a bit of luck. So I guess in a way they are right. The ocean taught me to enjoy the boring moments in life. And I do. I didn't used to. I used to try to fill the boring moments with everything I possibly could. So the ocean, it acts so much like life. The ocean, it doesn't care about you. Neither does life. It just keeps on keeping on. Rap, rap. That's the sound of a wave. Rap. On the shorelines. It just keeps on. At the end of my first trip there with Doug, we were just sitting on this table bench. So we were sitting on this table bench, overlooking the scenery from about 60 feet above the ocean, and the breeze is, blowing our hair around. The ocean waves are calm, and in this area, the ocean lifts large, pebbles along the coast, and then as it recedes, it drops them against each other, making the sound of 1,000 clinks, rolling towards us, and then away from us. Doesn't sound like that. It sounds like rocks clinking, but you get the point. And I told him, I don't want to leave. And he said, I'm there with you. We sat in a bit of silence. You know a good friend there, and they can sit there with you in silence, and they don't have to fill the air with their voice. I love that about certain people. This new way of perceiving the world hit me more and more as we rode home and beyond. I realized that I wanted to take on life more like I took on the ocean. I tried to and shut up a bit more. Wait and observe. Think before responding. Previously, I had the attack with full force, where you want to go method. Now I chose my battles much more delicately. I let more things go. I relaxed when in a state of chaos. And when I chose to take something on, there was extra strength available to be successful. Finally, things were making a bit more sense. Life continues its display of affection for us. Rap, rap, pebbles clinking on the beach shorelines.
Wiki, wiki, wiki.